Do you think it is possible for a person to survive 47 days on a raft and then survive living in four different Japanese prisoner camps during World War II? The book Unbroken, written by Laura Hillenbrand, is a true story about the life of Olympic athlete and soldier Louis Zamperini. He faced and miraculously survived an incredible number of horrific experiences, including being stranded on a raft and living in prisoner of war camps. Louis Zamperini used the perseverance and endurance he learned earlier in his life to help him survive these extremely difficult tasks. From a young age, he was mischievous and caused trouble. After getting in trouble at school, he started running as a sport. His brother Pete coached him, and because of this, Louis started winning many races. He started putting all of his energy towards going to the 1936 Olympics in Berlin, and he succeeded. He got an amazing 8th place and was invited to meet Hitler. He then returned home and continued running at the University of Southern California, where he had a scholarship. His dreams of returning to the Olympics and getting a gold medal were smashed once he was drafted into the Air Force to be a bombardier. After being trained, he became very close with his flight crew. They had many successful missions, but one day they had to take a different plane. After a miscommunication, the plane dove into the sea, and only 3 out of the 11 people survived. They lived off of a small amount of water and chocolate for a week, and then they had to catch fish to survive for another 4 weeks. There were sharks swarming their 2 small rafts the whole time. At one point, they saw a plane and thought they were being rescued, when in fact they got shot at by the Japanese. Later on, they were rescued by a Japanese boat and were brought to a prison camp. Before the end of World War II, Zamperini lived at 4 different prison camps. He was beaten, starved, confined in solitude, tortured, and made to do labor for up to 18 hours a day. Prison guard Mutsuhiro Watanabe, also called the Bird, especially hated Zamperini and found pleasure in seeing people suffer. Another prisoner said, "This man," thought Tinker, "is a psychopath," on page 232. The Bird made Louis do things such as hold a log over his head for as long as he could, and he made 200 people punch Louis in the face. He also tried to get Louis to make Japanese propaganda, but Louis refused to because he thought his dignity was the most important thing. Louis said, "Dignity is as essential to human life as water, food, and oxygen," page 345. He also said, "Without dignity, identity is erased. In its absence, men are defined not by themselves but by their captors and the circumstances in which they are forced to live," page 182. After spending 2 years in prison camps, Louis was finally free after the atomic bomb was dropped on Hiroshima. Everyone was overjoyed to be going home and to be free. After returning home, Louis was married to Cynthia Applewhite and they had 2 children. They almost got divorced because Louis was dealing with his war experience by drinking. His wife made him go to a church service to help him. It completely changed his mindset and he became a Christian. He no longer had dreams of the bird or fantasized about killing the bird. Louis' identity. Louis transformed from being a rebellious boy to an Olympic athlete and resilient war hero. His greatest qualities are his resourcefulness, stubborn optimism, and tenacious will to survive. He was also a great leader. One aspect of Louis' identity is that he is a war veteran. This is an important part of his identity because being a veteran means he has served his country and deserves respect. 7.3% of all living Americans are war veterans. From Mona Chalabi. Another aspect of his identity is that he is Italian. His parents came to the United States from Italy. An estimated 6% of Americans are Italian, from pamphlets. 3 more parts of his identity are that he is a male, he is in the middle class, and he is a Christian. All these aspects of his identity affected his life. He was bullied when he was young because he was Italian. He was also drafted into the Air Force because of his gender and age. Women don't have to encounter this. But while women weren't drafted, they were not able to compete in track and field like Louis did in the 1936 Olympics from Top End Sports. His identity gave him the advantage of being able to do that. Louis' story can teach us many things about people with similar identities, such as what it was like to be a prisoner of war in Japan during World War II, and it also teaches people about how most soldiers have psychological effects after returning home from war. Most of all, it teaches people about the bravery and sacrifice soldiers make when in war. In conclusion, Louis Zamperini was an amazing athlete and soldier who used his optimism and perseverance to survive many obstacles. His identity also provided obstacles and advantages in his life, but because of these obstacles, he became an inspiring Christian war veteran. He received the Purple Heart Award, Distinguished Flying Cross Award, Prisoner of War Medal, and Air Medal from biography.com. These awards show he had a huge impact on everyone in the world.